Going, everybody? Thank you for joining me today. Hope everybody had a fun and safe New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. We're going to be talking about my top 10 best films of 2023. These are the movies that I absolutely came out loving and adoring. So hopefully you guys let me know down in the comments below what were your top 10 favorite films of the year, or what you thought the best films of the year were. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started with number 10. Coming in at number 10, I have Air. The movie about a shoe and not about Michael Jordan was absolutely fantastic and really blew me away. There are a lot of things that I really loved about this movie. You had Chris Tucker, Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, Jason Bateman, a star-studded cast, and I just came out absolutely loving it. What I really love about sports movies is that they come out inspiring you. This movie came out inspiring me. It gave us a very interesting story as to how Nike went from this company that was about to go bankrupt into what we know now just by this one guy. Basically it was a underdog for this company, and that is what I absolutely love. The fact that we weren't really focusing on Michael Jordan is something that I really came out loving and appreciating. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it, but the more time that I watched it, I came out loving it every single time. Coming in at number 9, I have still a Michael J. Fox movie, another inspiring movie that I didn't know I really needed. I grew up watching Michael J. Fox on Stuart Little, and so that is how I primarily know him. Seeing everything that he's gone through with his Parkinson's and how that really hasn't let him down, how it mostly inspires him and lifts him up every single day is truly powerful. Seeing how he was able to juggle two jobs at once, one in the daytime when he was doing his show, and then at night when he was doing Back to the Future. They showed Back to the Future on Back to the Future Day, and the only thing that really went through my mind as I was watching Back to the Future was that little montage scene of him going back and forth on sets, and just seeing everything that he went through is powerful. It truly is moving. I absolutely came out loving it, and it's just one of those movies that you want to be inspired by. Coming in at number 8, I have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, a movie that I was really looking forward to, but I didn't know how much it was going to mean to me. After certain things that have happened in my personal life, this movie will always forever hold a special place in my heart, and it's one of those movies that is going to be very hard for me to watch for a couple of years. This movie was just absolutely fantastic. Going back and seeing the backstory that we had with Rocket Raccoon, and just seeing everything that happened between him and his friends was just heartbreaking. This movie really did do a good job of wrapping up the story and just sending us off into a new direction. But just the thematic moments in here, the dramatic moments, the things that made me bawl my fucking eyes out was just absolutely powerful. James Gunn is a director that I will always have a special place in my heart. Whether he does the best things or the worst things, I will always be in his debt. For the past two movies that he's directed that really have held a special place in my heart for personal reasons. But Guardians of the Galaxy 3 definitely did a fantastic job of being a standalone film in the MCU. And I think that is where the movie really shined for me, is the fact that you didn't have to connect the Guardians to anything coming up. It was just an isolated story. So we can give these characters that we came to love a proper send off, and it was just absolutely fantastic. Coming in at number 7 is the Iron Claw. I went in kind of excited. Didn't know anything about the Von Erich family or anything about wrestling and how they became the family of wrestling or something like that. But boy, was this a heartbreaking story. Everything about this movie just hit me in my feels. It gave me the best line. It gave me the best ending line in any movie ever, and you just felt for this family. You see how tragic their life was, how hard it was for everybody. And it's one of those movies that will absolutely break you to your breaking point. And Zac Efron, Jeremy Allen White, everybody else, Harrison Dickinson, Stanley Simons. I do apologize if I said the last one wrong, but everybody did a fantastic job. Everybody brought their A games. This is the best that I've seen Zac Efron in. This is the best that I've seen Jeremy Allen White in, and it was just one of those movies that just absolutely broke my heart. Coming in at number 6 is a movie that I just came out absolutely inspired by, and that is Radical. Nobody went to go see this movie. I was primarily excited because Eugenio Derbez is somebody that I've always had my eyes on. I grew up watching a lot of his shows, mostly because of my family. And so seeing him take on this role and seeing this story, it is a paint by number story. You've seen it many times, you've seen it in anything, but the one thing that I absolutely came out loving about this movie is the fact that it was an inspiring true story about this teacher trying to get their students to be able to get their own learning, trying to make sure that they are able to succeed in their own right and follow their own dreams without having the school system determine which path they take. And the way that this teacher was able to find different radical ways of just being able to push their students forward in order for them to have a better life. That is what I absolutely love about true stories. If you are able to do a paint by number story, but come out in a way where you come out inspired, that is a job well done. And Radical is one of those movies that I came out absolutely adoring. Coming in at number 5, I have Nimona, the movie that was saved from being a tax write off. And I am so fucking happy that this movie was saved from being a tax write off. The chemistry between Riz Ahmed and Chloe Grace Moretz is absolutely fantastic. I didn't know anything about this movie going in, and I just came out with a wonderful story. The beautiful animation styles, the chemistry between everybody. It had a wonderful story that I just came out absolutely loving, and I was really surprised. I didn't know that this movie was going to be a tax write-off right until after I saw the movie, and I did a little bit more research about this movie. It was made by Blue Skies, I believe, and then Annapurna bought them, and I am so glad that Annapurna came into the rescue for this film because it was just absolutely fantastic. The story in here is absolutely beautiful. It hits you in your feels. The characters are so charming and so likable that you cheer for them every step of the way, and I just came out so fucking surprised by this movie. Coming in at number 4, I have John Wick Chapter 4. I saw that Chad Stileski wanted Chapter 3 to be the end of the John Wick franchise because he felt like if you continue it on, it would diminish the property and it would be ending on a sour note. So he wanted to end the film on a third ending, and I was on board with that. Boy, was I wrong. John Wick Chapter 4 not only was a fun 3-hour thrill ride from beginning to end, the action sequences get topped off. They explore a little bit more. From the last hour alone, it's worth the price of admissions. There are a lot of great things that happen in that last hour, and everything leading up to that, it was just absolutely fantastic. It was one of those movies that even though I was still going to be looking forward to it, I was still going to be excited because it's John Wick. I really enjoyed the first 3 films. I think the second one was my favorite up until this one. This one is my personal favorite John Wick film. I think the action sequences are absolutely fantastic. Keanu Reeves says barely anything in this movie, and he still kicks so much ass. I love the way that this movie ended. I think it wrapped up everything nicely. But seeing how they're in talks for John Wick Chapter 5, I will have nothing to say because I absolutely came out loving this movie. So I have faith in Chad Stileski that he's going to deliver us. I have faith in Chad Stileski that he's going to be able to deliver us something fantastic when John Wick Chapter 5 comes out. But for John Wick Chapter 4, boy, was I surprised by this movie. Coming in at number 3, another great surprise, and it just barely came out at the beginning of this month, but that is Godzilla Minus One. I went in not expecting a lot because I'm not really big fan of foreign films up to a certain degree, but when it came down to Godzilla Minus One, from the moment you have the first attack at the opening of this film, that was when I was on board, and I knew this movie was going to be absolutely fantastic. The thing that makes this movie absolutely great and separates itself from the monsterverse that we have over at Legendary is the fact that you actually give a shit about the characters. The characters are so enduring, you get where they're coming from and how each of their struggles is completely different. You get where they're coming from, and that is the most endearing part about this movie. Take away Godzilla because he's not in the movie a lot, and that is where I started getting a little bit worried once I got to that halfway point. But then I started getting invested in these characters. There were so many emotional stakes at the end of it. and I just came out absolutely loving it. The Godzilla moments are absolutely fantastic. The character moments are great also, and they both complement each other in such a powerful way that I just came out absolutely loving. And I am so glad that a lot of people are also checking this film out because it deserves to be seen on the big screen. I am so fortunate that I was able to check it out in IMAX, and that was the best way to see this movie. And if they made another one, I'm going to be there day one. But coming in at number two, I have Oppenheimer. This movie just is a movie that I came out absolutely shooken by. 3 hours just flew by. This I went in a little bit worried, even though I was still excited because you have the name Christopher Nolan. You have a 3 hour epic in there. So all that I was already ready. I was already prepared. The fact that this movie was a 3 hour movie of just talking. It was just talking from beginning to end and giving us a very chilling ending that is very thought provoking is just so absolutely fantastic. Christopher Nolan definitely knocked it out of the park when it came down to this movie, and he was just able to just get us invested for 3 hours. And that is where I was the biggest worry. That was my biggest worry was the fact that it was going to be a 3 hour film of just talking, and boy, those 3 hours just flew by. Cillian Murphy is just absolutely fantastic. He's going to get nominated. Hopefully, he gets the win, but he was just great as Oppenheimer. Emily Blunt as his wife was fantastic. Matt Damon, Florence Pugh. You had such a star-studded cast in here, and everybody brought their A game. I don't think there was a dull moment in here because you're just so invested in everything that is going on. And I think that is where Oppenheimer really does succeed. But coming up at number one, it was my number one most anticipated film of the year. There was nothing else I was looking forward to this year. This movie came out at the beginning of the year. I would have been so excited. It got delayed so many times, but Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse was just absolutely fantastic to me. This is the best Spider-Man movie that we have ever gotten. I am a big Spider-Man boy. Spider-Man is my favorite hero. That's why I am a little bit more harsher on Spider-Man movies than most people are because I grew up watching Spider-Man and I just was able to relate to Spider-Man a lot more growing up. But what Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse in a year when we had multiverse movies, this movie did it so fantastically well. The characters are more fleshed out in here. You get to buy a lot of the characters. You get to see more of different Spider worlds. You get to see Peter Parker. You get to see Hobie, Spider-Punk. Daniel Kaluuya absolutely knocked it out of the park. Jessica Drew was absolutely fantastic for the limited screen time that she got. The chemistry between Miles and Gwen in here was fleshed out a little bit more, and I came out caring about them a lot more as a couple because I know that's what a lot of people really wanted after Into the Spider-Verse. I wanted them to stay platonic friends, but this movie made me want to buy into their relationship as a couple. Yeah, the opening of this movie is probably my most heartbreaking opening of probably any film in the past couple of years. The relationship that Gwen had with her dad was absolutely heartbreaking. Everything that happens in the beginning, everything that happens in the middle, everything that happens in the end, it was just absolutely perfect. This movie was close to 2 hours and a half, and I just did not feel that length because by the time that the movie ended, I wanted more, and I can't wait to see Beyond the Spider-Verse. Hopefully, we don't have to wait another 5 years, but Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is my number one favorite film of the year. But those are my top 10 best films of the year. Let me know down in the comments what your top 10 are in the comments below. And also, I want to thank everybody for making this year great for me. I am still able to do this because I absolutely love it. This has been a great year for me personally on YouTube. I'm so glad that I'm able to still do it. We had our highs, we had our lows, but you know what? At the end of the day, it's something that I absolutely love doing. I love talking about movies, and so I just want to be able to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. Whether you clicked on the video, whether you watched 5 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute, or you watched the entire video, whether you clicked on that subscribe button and didn't watch any other videos after that, I thank you from the very bottom of my heart because it has been a fun ride. I have been loving doing this for almost on and off 5 years. Next month is going to be 5 years that I posted my first YouTube video. So I will be doing a little reaction to that first video and cringe at everything that happens. But again, sincerely, thank you to everybody for making this a special year for me. There were highs and lows in here, and without you guys, whether you supported in a big way or in a small way, I thank you for that support, and I will continue to do this for a long while. But thank you all for a great year. Hopefully, you guys had a great year as well, and I hope 2024 really does give you the best blessings of all time. Thank you so much, and I'll catch you guys next year.